let's talk anger. I get so excited when my clients start to experience anger. Many of them for the first time in a very long time. For whatever reason, some of us, not just my clients, myself included, it hasn't felt safe to express anger. Maybe you grew up where you witnessed anger expressed in unhealthy ways. Maybe you got reprimanded. Maybe there are consequences when you were angry and you just expressed that emotion. So for whatever reason, anger has needed to be repressed for protection. And so we can witness and recognize that there was a purpose to protection here. There was a purpose to not feeling that anger. But now that we can see more clearly and we understand where it's coming from, we can start to build safety with it and express it. And so when I do this work with my clients and they start to experience anger, it can feel foreign at first. And we start to learn how to move with it, how to use anger. So what makes me so excited about anger? Anger saves lives. Anger is mobilizing. Anger is beautiful. It's part of the healing. Anger is directly tied to grief, and often it's the emotion that is kind of the umbrella emotion or the blanket on top of the grief that's underneath, let's call it that. And when we can start to mobilize with anger, we also find that it's a pathway to grief and processing. So my clients who start to experience anger, it's for me a sign of healing. It's a sign that they're coming out of that dorsal state on that polyvagal ladder where they're shut down, they're feeling helpless, hopeless, they're immobilized, they're stuck, and they're no longer in flight either. They're not in the sympathetic state where they're feeling like they have to run all the time, that something's chasing them. They're always in an anxious, overwhelmed state where they feel they don't have capacity. And so what comes next is this anger. And when anger shows up, it shows me a different part. It shows me the part of them, the part of you that feels like you have capacity, like you have authority, that you have power, that you can stand up for yourself, that there is a choice. It's empowering, especially for those of us with a history of trauma as well. When anger comes up for whatever reason, it's mobilizing, it's supportive, it's healing, and it's helpful. So we want to work with it. We don't want to dismiss it. We don't want to judge it. We want to be curious with it, and we want to see what's underneath the anger. And one thing that needs to be made very clear about anger is that it does not need to be directed at someone in order to be felt, experienced, processed, in order for there to be repair, in order for it to be a part of the healing. And I think that's a really big misconception that many of us have. We feel like the anger needs to be directed at the person who caused this misfortune or who crossed this boundary or whatever it might be. But that's not the case. You can, and I'm telling you this because I know, you can experience anger, welcome it in, befriend it, discharge it, allow it, just move through it without having anyone else involved, without having to direct it at the particular person. And that's a really important thing to understand. That we can work with anger that's within ourselves without needing to direct it at anyone. And so how do we do this? I love working with anger through the body, through somatic practices. And I hold a monthly grief somatic class every month. And each month we really talk about something a little different. We move with a different emotion that's connected to grief. And this Tuesday, we're going to be touching on anger specifically. So the anger that comes up with loss. And what you'll find, and what I typically see with my own experience with people that I work with, is that underneath anger is almost always grief. Grief over the loss of something. Grief over a change you didn't want to happen. Grief over an experience you didn't deserve. And sometimes the anger becomes the gateway to grief. It becomes a way for us to connect with this forbidden feeling and build safety with it. And so if you're curious about anger, you feel like it's within you, but you don't know how to access it, I invite you to join on Tuesday. I'm going to guide you through a journey of emotion. We're going to be touching on grief, but specifically anger as well. We're going to release it through our body. We're going to see how, when we make room for grief and all the other emotions, that we're also creating a more abundant experience for ourselves. We're also going to witness that when we cut out parts that we deem to be uncomfortable or bad emotions, that we're depriving ourselves from a full experience here on this earth. So I hope you'll join us. You can DM me if you'd like the link, or check the link in my bio.